America's closest allies aren't staging loud exits. They're not calling press conferences or making global headlines. Instead, they're quietly stepping away strategically, deliberately, and one by one. They're no longer looking to Washington. They're looking to Ottawa. In 2025, the world is shifting rapidly. While the United States doubles down on tariff threats and America first slogans, a strange new alignment is taking shape. Longtime allies Germany, Japan, India aren't turning to China or the European Union. They're forging new partnerships with Canada. That's right, Canada is emerging as the world's new economic favorite. From artificial intelligence to EV battery supply chains, from clean energy to rare earth resources, global powers are turning to Canada. And the big question isn't why they're choosing Canada. It's why they're leaving the US behind. Because in 2025, it's not just about strength anymore. It's about trust. It's about stability. And that's what Canada brings to the table as America becomes more volatile and inward-looking. This video breaks down 6 countries that are making a major strategic pivot toward Canada and the global ripple effects Washington can't afford to ignore. If you care about where the world economy is heading, about jobs, innovation, and leadership, you need to see what's happening right now. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because what's coming next will change everything. Let's dive in. Number 1. The United Kingdom. For nearly 100 years, the US and the UK have been like twins, aligned in intelligence, finance, and global culture. That so-called special relationship wasn't just symbolic, it was the foundation of policy. But in 2025, that bond is quietly being downgraded. Post-Brexit, the UK had hoped a major trade deal with the US would prove its strength outside the EU. Instead, with Trump back in office, the dream deal turned into a disaster. Tariff threats by American rules and chaotic diplomacy left British officials frustrated. And while Washington stalled, Ottawa stepped in. Canada expanded its trade links with the UK, building on its EU-tied CETA agreement to form a streamlined, future-focused partnership. Energy, pharmaceuticals, digital tech, all bundled into a new deal. The results? British exports to Canada jumped 14% in just the first 6 months of 2025. Canadian investments in UK industries, especially AI and sustainable finance, are surging. Meanwhile, US-UK trade is stuck in gridlock over digital tax issues and red tape. British businesses aren't ending ties with America. They're just tired of the uncertainty. And they're finding more reliability in Canada. The special relationship hasn't ended. But for the first time in generations, it isn't exclusive. And that shift should concern Washington deeply. Number 2. France. France has never been comfortable being bossed around, least of all by the United States. The two countries have long shared a love-hate bond, close allies with frequent clashes. And in 2025, that tension erupted again. Trump's new wave of tariffs hit French steel, autos, and wine, core sectors of the French economy. Paris didn't just complain. It moved. Thanks to the existing EU-Canada trade pact, France had a clear path to pivot. And Canada welcomed them with open arms. By early 2025, Ottawa had deepened its ties with France across pharmaceuticals, aerospace, clean energy, and AI. French businesses began shifting from US cities like Boston and San Francisco to Montreal and Toronto. Renault is now collaborating with Quebec on EV batteries. Canadian and French researchers are teaming up on AI ethics. And in climate diplomacy, France has made Canada its preferred partner. Trade between the two nations is up 18% this year alone. Meanwhile, US-France ties are tense, caught in disputes over digital taxes and Washington's unpredictable moves. France isn't chasing short-term profits. It wants consistency. And Canada is delivering. This pivot may look subtle, but in geopolitics, subtle moves reshape the future. France is no longer betting on Washington. It's doubling down on Ottawa. Number 3. South Korea. For decades, South Korea has been one of America's most faithful allies and anchor of US strategy in East Asia. But in 2025, loyalty is being tested. Not by ideology but by economics. Trump's second term has revived old tensions, demanding Seoul pay more for U.S. military support while slapping tariffs on Korean-made EVs, chips and steel. For South Korea, an export-reliant nation, that's not just inconvenient. It's a national threat. Canada, meanwhile, is offering something different: stability. In January 2025, South Korea and Canada signed a sweeping new economic agreement covering not just goods but AI, clean energy, critical minerals, and joint R&D. Canadian provinces like Ontario and British Columbia are welcoming Korean tech giants. Hyundai is producing EV parts in Windsor. LG is expanding research in Vancouver. Samsung is building the next generation of semiconductors in partnership with Canadian universities, far from the US-China power struggle. Trade between Korea and Canada is up more than 20% this year. And perhaps more importantly, Seoul sees Ottawa as neutral, reliable, and forward-thinking. Militarily, Korea still leans on the US, but economically the country is pivoting fast. In a world of fragile supply chains and shifting alliances, South Korea is diversifying. And Canada is quickly becoming its most trusted economic partner. Number 4. Germany. Germany is not known for impulsive decisions. It's Europe's industrial core, methodical, precise, and deeply dependent on global trade. But even Germany is making a move in 2025. With Trump back in office, the US has reimposed tariffs targeting German goods, cars, solar panels, even steel. And that's put Berlin on edge. So what's Germany doing? Engineering a safer path forward with Canada. Ottawa offers everything Berlin needs: a skilled labor force, political calm, environmental vision, and a gateway to North America without Washington's volatility. Canada-Germany trade is booming. BMW has launched a $1.2 billion EV plant in Ontario. Siemens is teaming with Canadians on hydrogen infrastructure. Pharmaceutical firms are relocating research centers from the US to Toronto. Trade between the two countries is up 17% year over year. And unlike the US, Canada isn't throwing curveballs or issuing threats. Germany isn't ditching America. It's just rebalancing its priorities. And in this new equation, Ottawa is quickly becoming the preferred partner for Europe's most powerful economy. Number 5. Japan. Japan has long been one of America's most steadfast allies militarily, economically, and technologically. But in 2025, Tokyo is looking elsewhere. Trump's economic policies have again put Japanese companies on edge. Hybrid vehicles are facing fresh tariffs. Japanese digital platforms are caught in legal crossfires. And the patience of Japanese officials is wearing thin. So Japan is turning to Canada. In March 2025, Japan and Canada upgraded their trade framework, focusing on green hydrogen, AI development, digital trade, and rare earth cooperation. Toyota is now investing in Quebec's EV sector. Panasonic is growing its clean energy research in Alberta. Mitsubishi is company developing rare mineral extraction projects with Canadian firms to buffer against US and Chinese shocks. Japanese universities are teaming with Canadians in biotech, robotics, and climate science. The payoff? Trade has soared 22% in just a year. And behind the scenes, Japanese officials are saying something that once would have been unthinkable. Canada is offering the long-term reliability they used to expect from Washington. Tokyo isn't cutting military ties with the US, but economically? The shift is underway. Japan wants less drama and more dependability, and that's what Canada offers. Number 6. Mexico. Mexico and the US share more than geography. They've been tightly linked through decades of trade, from NAFTA to USMCA. But in 2025, that partnership is fraying. Trump's renewed threats to cancel trade deals, tax Mexican autos, and militarize the border are fueling fears south of the Rio Grande. Mexico is tired of being on the defensive. So it's looking north, not to the US but to Canada. In early 2025, Mexico and Canada signed a sweeping green manufacturing deal focused on EVs, solar tech, and lithium. Mexican companies are now backing Canadian clean energy startups. Canadian banks are opening offices in Mexico City and Monterrey. The two nations are sharing ideas on AI, sustainable farming, and climate-friendly supply chains. Trade is up 28% just halfway through the year, a record pace. Even exporters who once depended entirely on U.S. buyers are shifting toward Canadian markets. Mexico isn't abandoning the U.S., but it's building a backup plan. Because in today's world, trust matters more than proximity. And Canada is earning that trust. This isn't just a trade reshuffle, it's a wake-up call. As America doubles down on isolation, its allies are finding new paths. And many of those paths lead north. Canada is becoming the partner of the future. If this opened your eyes, hit like, subscribe, and share your thoughts. Which country's pivot surprised you most? Because in 2025 the world is watching. And it's watching Canada rise.